Welcome to Whispers After Midnight. If you love dark, unsettling stories that make you double-check the locks on your doors, you're in the right place. On this channel, I narrate the creepiest stories I can find, from chilling Reddit posts, eerie creepypastas, unsettling subscriber submissions, and mysterious old folk tales that have been whispered about for years. Now, quick disclaimer. There's no proof that these stories are real. Some might be true, some might be exaggerated, and some might just be stories people tell when the world gets a little too quiet at night. But real or not, they're all terrifying. So tonight, do yourself a favor. Turn the lights off, grab a snack, maybe pull a blanket a little closer, then sit back and listen. If you enjoy the stories, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me what kind of stories you want to hear next. Your ideas might even become the next story featured on this channel, because around here, the best stories are the ones whispered after midnight. Channel 19, Part 1. The Job. I don't take jobs off the dark web anymore. At least, I didn't. But when the money's right, and you've been sitting at truck stops for 3 weeks watching your bank account bleed out, you start making exceptions you swore you never would. It wasn't even hard to find. That's the thing people don't understand. It's not all hitmen and horror stories. Most of it just looks like work. Freight, moving, courier gigs, just quieter. No companies, no paperwork, no questions. Just a listing on a stripped-down forum. Long haul, no logs, cash/crypto, must follow instructions exactly. That last line should have been enough to make me close the page. Instead, I clicked. The instructions came through an encrypted message about 10 minutes later. No greeting, no name, no back and forth. Just this. Pickup location: industrial yard outside Red Deer. Trailer already loaded. Destination provided en route. Payment 10 times standard rate. Rules: no GPS. No phone use unless emergency. Keep CB radio on channel 19 at all times. Do not break the seal. Do not deviate from route. And at the bottom, if you fail to follow instructions, you will not be paid. No threats. Just cold. Professional. That's what made it worse. I told myself it was just off-the-books freight. Maybe tax dodging, maybe something sketchy, but not that bad. That's what you tell yourself when you hit accept. The yard was exactly where they said it would be. Middle of nowhere. Chain link fence half bent in, no signage. No lights except one flickering pole near the gate. There was already a trailer sitting there. White. No logos, no markings. Just a number spray painted on the side. No one around. No cameras I could see. No paperwork left behind. Just a single envelope duct taped to the landing gear. Inside, a route printed on paper, a time window, a CB frequency reminder, 19, and a key. That was it. I did my usual walk around. Tires good, no visible damage. Seal intact on the back doors, bright red plastic tag. Looked normal. Too normal. I hooked up, locked everything in, climbed back into the cab, and just sat there for a minute. You ever get that feeling? Like something's off, but you can't point to what? Yeah, that. I started the engine anyway, because that's what you do. You keep moving. The first hour was quiet. Highway stretched out ahead of me, that flat Alberta dark settling in. Just long strips of road and the occasional headlights passing the other direction. No GPS felt weird. Didn't realize how used to it I was until it wasn't there. I had the printed directions on the passenger seat, glancing over every few minutes like it was 1998 again. CB radio crackled now and then, normal chatter. Truckers talking about weather, traffic, scales. Familiar. Comforting. It almost made the whole thing feel normal. Then I passed mile marker 62, and the radio clicked. Static at first, then a voice. Low, calm, too clear. You took that load, didn't you? I frowned, glanced at the CB. Didn't answer. Probably just someone fishing for conversation. Happens all the time. I kept driving. Another few seconds of silence. Then, black Freightliner. My grip tightened slightly on the wheel. Coincidence? There are a lot of black Freightliners out here. Alberta plates. Okay, that narrowed it down. But still. Then the voice said, "You just passed mile marker 62. I checked my mirrors instinctively. Nothing but empty road behind me. No headlights close enough. No one pacing me. Just darkness. I grabbed the CB mic. "Yeah?" I said. "Who's asking?" A pause. Not static. Just silence. Like whoever it was deciding something. Then, "You shouldn't have taken that job." A little laugh slipped out of me before I could stop it. "All right, man," I said. "Very funny." No response. I set the mic back down. Told myself it was just some bored driver messing with me. Happens more than people think. You get lonely out here. You start talking. Sometimes you mess with whoever answers. 5 minutes passed. 10. Nothing. Road stayed empty. Then the CB clicked again. Same voice. Closer this time. Sharper. "Did they tell you to keep it sealed?" That made my stomach tighten. I didn't answer. "Yeah," the voice continued. "They told me that too." I felt it then. That shift. That moment where something stops being a joke. I picked up the mic again, slower this time. "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. No hesitation, no static. "Someone who made the same mistake you just did." Silence filled the cab again, heavy, pressing in. I glanced in my mirrors one more time. Still nothing. No headlights, no truck, no sign of anyone who should be able to see me. "Where are you?" I asked. A pause. Then, close enough, and the line went dead. I stared at the CB for a long second, waiting, listening. Nothing but low static and distant chatter from other drivers. I should have turned around right then. Dropped the trailer, walked away. But I didn't. Because about 30 seconds later, the CB clicked again, and the voice came back. Quieter now. Almost like he didn't want anyone else to hear. "You didn't check the weight, did you?" I froze. Because no, I hadn't. And suddenly, I really wished I had. I didn't answer him right away. Not because I didn't want to, but because I was already reaching for the dash, checking the numbers like I'd somehow missed something obvious. Axle load. gross weight. Everything looked normal, or at least normal enough to not raise alarms. But that didn't mean anything. Not out here. Not with a job like this. The CB crackled again. "Yeah," the voice said. "That's what mine looked like too." I grabbed the mic, trying to keep my voice steady. "What do you mean, looked like?" A pause. Then, "Paperwork matches. Scales don't." I glanced down at the printed sheets sitting on the passenger seat. Weights were listed. Stamped. Clean. Too clean. "There's a scale up ahead," the voice continued. "About 40 clicks. You're going to want to hit it." "Why?" I asked. This time he didn't answer right away. When he finally did, his tone had changed. Lower, tighter. "Because if I'm right, you're hauling more than they told you." A cold feeling settled in my chest. I looked out at the empty highway stretching ahead. Still no headlights behind me. Still no sign of anyone. "How do you even know what I'm hauling?" I asked. A small exhale came through the speaker. Not quite a laugh, more like frustration. "Because I hauled the same load." That landed harder than I expected. "And?" I pressed. Silence. Long enough that I thought he'd dropped off again. Then, "Just hit the scale." The line went quiet. I stared at the CB for a second, then back at the road. I should have ignored him. Just stuck to the route, finished the job, got paid. But that feeling in my gut, it wasn't going away. 40 kilometers feels a lot longer when your brain won't shut up. Every little sound starts to matter. Engine noise, wind, the subtle rattle of the trailer behind you. That's when I noticed it. A shift. Not big, not dramatic, just off. Like the weight behind me had moved slightly. I checked the mirrors again. Trailer looked fine. No sway, no visible issue. Still, I couldn't shake it. The scale station came up out of the darkness like a checkpoint. Bright lights, empty lot, closed building, automated system still running. Perfect. No people, no questions. I pulled in slow, lining up like I'd done 1,000 times before. Stopped. Waited for the red. Numbers flickered on the display, then settled, and my stomach dropped, because the weight was off. Not by a little, by a lot. I grabbed the paper again, comparing. Axles didn't match. Gross weight didn't match. Nothing lined up anymore. "What the hell?" I muttered. The CB clicked instantly, like he'd been waiting. "Told you." I didn't even remember picking up the mic. "How much was yours off?" I asked. A pause. "Enough." That wasn't an answer. I looked back at the glowing numbers one more time, then in the mirror, then at the sealed trailer doors. "You think they loaded it wrong?" I asked. This time he did laugh. Short, dry. "You really still think this is a mistake?" I didn't respond. Because no, I didn't. "Then what is it?" I said. Another pause. Longer this time, like he was deciding how much to tell me. "Something you weren't supposed to notice." A chill ran up my spine. I pulled off the scale and parked along the side of the lot. Engine still running, lights cutting through the empty space. For a second I just sat there, hands on the wheel, thinking. Then I unbuckled. "Don't," the voice said immediately. I froze. Hand on the door. Don't what? I asked. Don't go back there. I looked in the side mirror, at the trailer, at the red seal. Still intact. Why? I said. The reply came slower this time, heavier. Because if it's the same as mine, a pause. You're not alone back there. Silence. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Yeah, I said. No, that's not funny. I'm not joking. I opened the door. Cold air hit me immediately. Sharp, quiet. The kind of quiet you only get in the middle of nowhere. Gravel crunched under my boots as I stepped down. The truck idled behind me, low and steady. Headlights casting long shadows across the lot. Every instinct told me to get back in the cab. Drive. Forget this. Instead, I walked toward the trailer. Each step felt louder than it should have. I stopped at the back doors. The red seal hung there, unbroken, exactly how I found it. See? I muttered under my breath. Still sealed. The CB, faint through the open cab door, crackled. Yeah. I reached out, touched the metal. Cold. Solid. Nothing. I almost laughed. Man, you had me. Bang! The sound exploded from inside the trailer. Not a shift. Not cargo settling. A hit. Hard. Deliberate. I stumbled back instinctively, heart slamming into my ribs. Another sound followed. Dragging. Slow, like something heavy. Moving. Inside. The CB screamed with static for a split second. Then the voice came through, sharp and urgent. Get back in the truck, right now. I didn't argue. Didn't think. I turned and ran. Boots slipping on gravel, breath already coming fast. I climbed back into the cab, slammed the door, locked it without even realizing I was doing it. Hands shaking, eyes locked on the mirrors. The trailer sat there, still, quiet again, like nothing had happened. Tell me that wasn't what I think it was, I said into the mic. No response. Hey, I snapped, talk to me. A beat. Then, yeah. My stomach dropped. Yeah, what? I said. The voice didn't hesitate this time. That's exactly what I think it was. Silence filled the cab again. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied. Then the voice added, quieter now. And if it made noise already, a pause. You're running out of time. I gripped the wheel tighter. Time for what? But deep down, I already knew I wasn't going to like the answer. I didn't wait for him to explain, didn't want to, didn't need to. I threw the truck into gear and pulled out of the scale lot faster than I should have, tires crunching hard over gravel before catching pavement again. The trailer jerked behind me as it straightened out. For a second, I thought I felt it shift again. I didn't look. Where do I go? I said into the mic, voice tighter now. Static, then. Stay on the route, for now. For now, I snapped. If you start improvising, you're dead faster. That shut me up. The highway stretched out ahead again. Dark, empty, too empty. My eyes kept flicking to the mirrors. Left, right, rear, nothing. But that didn't mean anything anymore. Who are they? I asked. A pause. The ones who gave you the job? Yeah, I got that, I said. What are they moving? Silence. Long enough that I thought he wasn't going to answer. Then, people. My chest tightened. No, I said immediately. No chance. I would have... Bang! Louder this time. Something slammed hard against the inside of the trailer. Metal rang out behind me like a gunshot. I flinched, hands tightening on the wheel. Then, scraping. Slow, heavy, dragging across the floor. Yeah, the voice said quietly. You would have known if they wanted you to. My mouth went dry. They're locked in crates, he continued. Or they were when I had it. Were? I said. No answer. Of course. I checked the mirrors again, and this time I saw headlights. Far back, but there. Got a truck behind me, I said. A beat. Color? Can't tell yet. The headlights stayed steady, not gaining fast, not falling back, just there, watching. How long's he been there? The voice asked. I don't know, I said. He wasn't. I stopped, because I wasn't sure anymore. Yeah, the voice muttered. That's how it starts. My grip tightened again. What do you mean starts? I asked. One behind, one ahead. My eyes snapped forward. Empty road. For now. Don't mess with me, I said. I'm not. Silence for a few seconds. Then, when they box you in, don't stop. A cold wave ran through me. They're not cops, he added. There's no pulling over and explaining this. The headlights behind me grew slightly brighter, closing. Okay, I said. Okay. What do I do? Another pause. Then, you trust me? I almost laughed. No, I said. Not even a little. A beat. Good. That wasn't reassuring. Because this is going to sound insane. Try me. Before he could answer, another set of headlights appeared. Ahead, coming up fast. My stomach dropped. Got one in front, I said. Yeah, he replied. That's them. The truck ahead slowed slightly. Just enough. The one behind sped up. Not aggressive, not obvious. Just controlled. They were closing the gap. Okay, I said, breathing faster now. Okay, what do I do? This time the voice didn't hesitate. You're coming up on an exit in about 2 kilometers. I glanced at the paper directions. There was an exit, but it wasn't on my route. That's not my turn, I said. I know. My chest tightened. If I deviate, you're already dead if you don't. The truck ahead slowed more. The one behind was close enough now that I could see the shape of it. Dark, no company markings. Same as the trailer. Exit's coming, the voice said. Get ready. My hands were slick on the wheel now. On my mark, he continued. You take it hard. How hard? I asked. Hard enough they don't expect it. The exit sign flashed into view. My heart started hammering. 3. The truck ahead drifted slightly toward the center, blocking. 2. The one behind edged closer. Now. I didn't think. I yanked the wheel. The truck lurched as I cut across the lane, hitting the exit ramp fast, way faster than I should have. The trailer swayed hard behind me. For a second I thought it might tip, but it held. Barely. I checked the mirror. The truck behind overshot slightly. The The one ahead kept going straight. Go, 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 the voice said. Don't slow down. I'm not, I said through clenched teeth. The ramp curved sharply, too sharply. The trailer groaned behind me, metal creaking, weight shifting. Then, thud. Something slammed inside again. This time followed by a muffled sound. Not metal, not cargo. Something else. My stomach twisted. You hear that? I said. Silence. Hey, I snapped. You hear that? The voice came back, quieter now. Yeah, that one word said everything. I swallowed hard. What happens if I make the drop? I asked. A long pause. Long enough that I almost missed the turn at the bottom of the ramp. Then, you don't walk away. The words hit like a brick. What? I said. They don't let drivers go after this load. Everything inside me went cold. Then why are you helping me? I demanded. Silence, tossed. Then, because I didn't make it either. My grip on the wheel faltered for half a second. What the hell does that mean? No answer. The road ahead split again, dark, empty. Where now? I asked. The voice didn't respond immediately, and for the first time since this started, I felt completely alone. Then the CB clicked, but the voice that came through wasn't his. Driver. Cold, flat, unfamiliar. Every muscle in my body locked up. You've deviated from your route. My blood ran cold. The original voice cut in, urgent. Don't answer them. Too late. Who is this? I said. A pause. Then, correct your route immediately. The radio hissed, then went silent. I stared at it, then slowly looked back at the road, because deep down, I knew something had just changed, and whatever was behind me before wasn't the only thing hunting me now. I didn't answer the radio again, not after that voice. Not after the way it said driver, like I wasn't a person anymore. Just part of the job. Stay off the CB, the original voice said quickly. They'll try to keep you talking. My eyes stayed locked on the road. Dark highway, no streetlights, no traffic. Just me and whatever was behind me. Where do I go? I asked. A pause, then. You're not finishing the route. Yeah, I figured that out, I said. So what? Ditch the trailer? Silence. That hesitation told me everything. That's the only way, isn't it? I said. It's the only way you might walk away. Might. Not exactly comforting. Another dull thud came from the trailer, closer this time, heavier, followed by that same dragging sound. I swallowed hard. Yeah, I said. I'm not delivering that. Good. Where? The voice came back sharper now, focused. You're gonna see a service road in about 5 minutes. It's barely marked. Gravel, runs off to the right. You take it, go about a click, and you drop the trailer. And then what? I asked. A pause. Then you don't look back. I almost laughed. Yeah, I muttered. Easy. The CB crackled again. The other voice. Driver, you are off route. I clenched my jaw. Didn't respond. Correct your route immediately. Static. Then, failure to comply will result in termination of contract. The line went dead again. Termination. I repeated under my breath. Yeah, I bet. 2 minutes, the first voice said. Get ready. My heartbeat had settled into something steady now. Not calm, just focused. Adrenaline does that. The headlights appeared again in my mirror, closer than before. They're back, I said. I know. Can't outrun them in this thing. You don't have to. The service road came out of nowhere, just like he said, barely visible. A break in the trees and a strip of gravel cutting into darkness. That's it, he said. Take it now. I didn't hesitate. I cut the wheel and dropped onto the gravel hard. The whole truck rattled violently as the tires hit loose rock. The trailer fishtailed slightly, then straightened out. Dust exploded behind me, swallowing the road. I checked the mirror. Headlights blew past the entrance. They missed it, I said. They won't for long. Of course they wouldn't. Where do I stop? I asked. Keep going. You'll feel it. Feel what? You'll know. That didn't help. The gravel road stretched ahead, narrow and uneven. Trees closing in on both sides. No lights, no signs, nothing. Just darkness. Then, bang, louder than before. The entire truck jolted. Something inside the trailer slammed hard enough to shake the frame. Then, a new sound. Not dragging, not shifting, scratching. Fast, erratic, like something trying to get out. Pull over, the voice said immediately. Now. I didn't argue. I braked hard, bringing the truck to a rough stop in the middle of the road. The scratching didn't stop. If anything, it got louder. Kill the engine, he said. I hesitated. Do it, he snapped. I turned the key. Silence dropped instantly. No engine, no hum, no movement. Just scratching from right behind me. Get out, he said. Quick, drop the trailer. My hands moved before my brain could catch up. Door open, cold air, gravel under my boots. The scratching turned into something else now. A dull, repeated thumping from the inside of the doors. I ran to the coupling, hands shaking as I released the lines, pulled the lever, dropped the lock. The trailer settled slightly as it disconnected. Another bang from inside. Closer, louder. Go, the voice said. Go now. I didn't look back. I ran. Back into the cab, slid into the seat, turned the key. The engine roared back to life. I slammed it into gear and hit the gas. The truck surged forward, leaving the trailer behind. The last thing I saw in the mirror was the back doors of the trailer bulging outward, like something inside was pushing against them, hard. Then the road curved, and it was gone. I didn't slow down, didn't speak, didn't breathe properly, just drove. Minutes passed, or maybe longer, hard to tell. Eventually, the CB crackled. I flinched. Then, you did it. The voice. I let out a breath that felt like it had been sitting in my lungs for hours. Yeah, I said. Yeah, I did. Silence for a second. Then, you're not done yet. Of course I wasn't. What now? I asked. A pause. Now you disappear. I frowned. What? New routes, new jobs, no patterns, no repeats. My grip tightened slightly. "Why?" I said. The answer came quiet. "Because they don't let drivers go." Something about the way he said it sat wrong. I glanced at the CB. "Yeah," I said slowly. "You've said that before." Silence. Then I asked the question that had been sitting in the back of my head this whole time. "How are you still on the radio?" No answer. My stomach dropped. "You said you didn't make it," I added. The CB hissed softly. Then, "I didn't." Cold, flat, different, not the same tone as before, not quite human anymore. Every hair on my arm stood up. "What does that mean?" I said quietly. A long pause. Then, "It means I never stopped driving." The line went dead. I stared at the radio. Didn't touch it. Didn't breathe. After a while, I reached over and turned it off. I don't take jobs off the dark web anymore. I stick to normal routes, normal freight, normal people. No more sealed loads, no more weird instructions, no more Channel 19. For a while, it worked. Then a few nights ago, I was back on a long haul. Different job, different company, different road. Everything normal, until I saw it. Mile marker 62. My stomach dropped. I hadn't even realized I was back out here. Same stretch of highway, same empty road. Before I could think, the CB clicked on. I froze, because I hadn't turned it on. Static filled the cab. Then, a voice. My voice. Calm, low, too clear. "You took that load, didn't you?" My hands tightened on the wheel. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Then the voice continued. "Black Freightliner." My heart started pounding. Alberta plates. I checked my mirrors. And way back in the darkness, I saw headlights. Then the voice said, "You just passed mile marker 62. I felt it then. That same shift. That same feeling. Like something had already started. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. The CB crackled one last time. And the voice whispered, "They don't let drivers go." One and Done, Part 1. The container. I knew it was a bad idea the second I saw the number. 20,000. Flat. No fuel card, no company, no paperwork. Just a message on a stripped-down board I shouldn't have been browsing in the first place. One load. Coastal run. No questions. $20,000. Guys like me don't get offers like that for normal work. Not anymore. I'd been parked outside Tacoma for 3 days, burning through what little money I had left. Diesel wasn't cheap, and neither was sitting still. Dispatch had ghosted me. Broker rates were garbage. Every load I checked paid just enough to keep me stuck. You ever get that feeling? Like you're not working anymore? You're just slowly bleeding out? Yeah, that's where I was. So I clicked it. The reply came faster than it should have. No greeting, no name, just instructions. Pickup. Private yard, 40 minutes south. Cargo. Preloaded sea can. Destination, port terminal. Details provided after departure. Payment. $20,000. Crypto on delivery. Rules. Do not open container. Do not stop unnecessarily. Do not speak to port personnel beyond required access. Follow exact drop instructions. This is a one-time contract. At the bottom, complete the job. Walk away. Do not return. That line stuck with me. Do not return. I should have closed the laptop right there. Instead, I copied the address. The yard looked abandoned. Chain link fence bent open just enough to drive through. No signage. No cameras I could see. Just a stretch of cracked pavement and stacks of empty chassis lined up like skeletons. And one container, already mounted, waiting. It was a standard 40-footer, dull gray, rust streaks along the edges, nothing special at first glance. But the number, that's what caught my eye. Or what was left of it. The ID markings had been spray painted over. Not cleanly either, just a thick black strip across where the numbers should have been. That's not normal. Even shady loads usually keep IDs intact. Ports track everything. Containers don't just exist without numbers. I sat there in the cab for a minute, engine idling, staring at it, thinking, 20,000. I opened the door. Gravel crunched under my boots as I stepped down. The air smelled like salt and oil. Coast not too far off. Quiet. Too quiet. I did my walk around. Tires good. Frame solid. Locks in place. Then I got to the back doors. Red seal. Intact. I crouched slightly, checking the hinges. That's when I noticed it. Scratches. Not big. Not obvious unless you were looking for them. Thin lines along the inside edge of the doors, near the seam, like something had been dragged from the inside. I straightened slowly, stared at the doors a second longer than I should have. Don't open it. I muttered it out loud, like saying it made it official. Then I climbed back into the cab. Hooked up, locked in, pulled out. I told myself it was just smuggling. Undeclared goods. Black market imports. Happens all the time in ports. That's what 20 grand buys. Silence. The road out was empty. Just a stretch of coastal highway cutting through trees and low hills. Fog rolling in off the water. No GPS. They made that clear. I had printed directions sitting on the passenger seat. Old school. Turn by turn. Felt wrong in 2026. First hour was smooth. Truck ran clean. Load felt heavy, but stable. Then I hit a rough patch of road. The trailer shifted slightly. Normal. Except there was a second movement. Delayed. Subtle. Like something inside adjusted after the truck settled. I frowned. Checked the mirrors. Nothing. Just the load, I muttered. Kept driving. Another 30 minutes. Fog thickened. Visibility dropped. That's when I heard it. A faint sound. Behind me. I turned the radio down. Listened. Nothing. Then, scrape. Soft, short. I froze. Looked in the mirror again. The container sat there, still, silent. I let out a breath. Road noise, that's all it was. Had to be. I kept going. An hour later, I pulled into a small fuel stop. Didn't want to, but I needed to top off. Did it quick. Didn't even shut the engine off. Another truck pulled in across from me. Older guy, looked like he'd been driving longer than I'd been alive. He glanced at my rig. then at the container, and froze, just for a second. Then he looked away, fast, too fast. That feeling crept back in. I walked over. "Hey," I said, "you know if—" He cut me off. "Don't." Flat, serious. I blinked. "What?" He shook his head, already backing away. "Not my business," he muttered. "Shouldn't be yours either." Then he got in his truck and left, just like that. I stood there for a second, watching his taillights disappear into the fog. Then I turned back to my rig. The container sat exactly how I left it. But now, it didn't feel empty anymore. I climbed back in, pulled out, didn't look back. Another message came through about an hour later. Burner phone they told me to keep in the glove box. Just coordinates. And one line: proceed directly to port entry. Do not stop again. No greeting, no signature. I checked the time. Still on schedule. Sun was dropping now. Sky turning that dull gray-blue before night takes over. The closer I got to the coast, the thicker the fog became. By the time I saw the cranes, they looked like shadows. Huge. Still, like something out of a dream. The port was massive, bigger than I expected. Rows of containers stacked higher than buildings, lights glowing through the fog. Ships somewhere out there in the dark, horns echoing low across the water. I pulled up to the entry gate, expected security, paperwork, questions. Instead, the gate was open. No guard, no checkpoint, just a green light. That was wrong. Ports don't work like that. I hesitated, foot hovering over the brake. Then the burner phone buzzed again. Enter. I swallowed, then drove in. The deeper I went, the quieter it got. No workers, no forklifts, no movement. Just rows and rows of containers, stacked like walls, blocking everything, making it impossible to see more than a few lanes ahead. The directions guided me through them. Left, right, straight. Every turn felt tighter, more enclosed, like I was being funneled somewhere. Then, thud, loud, right behind me. I flinched hard, hands tightening on the wheel. Then, scraping. Longer this time. Slower, like something shifting its weight. Inside the container. I stared straight ahead. Didn't turn around, didn't check, didn't want to. The phone buzzed again. Row C17, slot 42. I turned the corner, and there it was. A narrow lane between towering stacks, barely enough room to maneuver. And at the end, an open space, empty, waiting. I pulled in slowly, heart pounding now. Something about that spot felt wrong. Too isolated, too quiet. I stopped the truck, engine idling, lights cutting through the fog. Then I saw them. Two figures, standing near the edge of the container stacks, watching, not moving, not waving, just waiting. The phone buzzed one last time. Back into slot, do not exit vehicle. I stared at the message, then at them, then back at the container in my mirror. Something inside shifted again, slow, heavy. And for the first time since I took the job, I knew for sure I wasn't just hauling cargo, and whatever was in that container was still alive. I didn't move right away. The engine idled low under me, steady, familiar. But everything else felt off. Too quiet, too still. Those two figures stood at the edge of the stacks like they'd been there the whole time, watching, waiting, not signaling, not guiding, just there. The phone buzzed again. Back into slot. I exhaled slowly. "Yeah," I muttered. "All right." I put the truck in reverse. The lane was tight. Real tight. Container stacks on both sides, rising up like walls, blocking out everything but a thin strip of foggy sky overhead. No room for mistakes. I checked my mirrors, lined it up, started backing in. The figures didn't move, didn't step forward, didn't help. Just stood there, watching me do it myself. The trailer crept back into the space, inch by inch. That's when I heard it again. Thud. Hard. Close. I flinched, foot slipping slightly on the brake. Then, a new sound. Not scraping, not shifting. A dull, repeated impact from inside the doors, like something hitting them, over and over. I froze. The truck sat halfway into the slot. The phone buzzed again. "Continue." My hands tightened on the wheel. Behind me. Thud. Thud. Faster now. More desperate. I swallowed hard, then kept backing up. The trailer slid fully into place. I stopped. Put it in park. Silence. The banging stopped. Just like that. The sudden quiet was worse. Much worse. The phone buzzed again. Set, brake, release, trailer. I stared at the message, then at the mirrors. The two figures were closer now. Not by much, but enough. Still no faces, just silhouettes in the fog. "Yeah, no," I whispered. Another buzz. "Complete the job." My jaw tightened. The money? 20 grand. One job. Walk away. That's what I told myself. I reached for the door, opened it. Cold air hit me again, heavy with salt and something else, something metallic. I climbed down slowly, boots hitting concrete this time instead of gravel. The port felt different from here. Not empty, just quiet in a way it shouldn't be. I moved to the back of the trailer. The two figures didn't follow, didn't speak, didn't move closer, just watched. I reached the doors. The red seal hung there, still intact. But the metal around it was dented, subtly, like something inside had been hitting it. A lot. My hand hovered near it. "Don't open it." I said it again, out loud. The phone buzzed. "Do not break seal." "Yeah," I muttered. "Wasn't planning on it." I turned away, walked back toward the cab. Then, a sound stopped me cold. From inside the container. Not banging, not scraping. A voice. Faint. Weak. "Hey." I froze. Every muscle locked up. "Please." My chest tightened instantly. "No. No, no, no." I turned slowly, stared at the doors. "Did you hear that?" I said, not even realizing I was speaking. The figures didn't react, didn't move. Nothing. "Help." The word barely made it out. Like whoever was inside didn't have much left. My brain started racing. Human. It had to be. Not cargo. Not goods. A person. Maybe more than one. I looked at the seal again, then at the dents, then back at the silent figures. They were waiting for me to walk away, to leave it. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just delivery. This was disposal. I stepped closer to the doors again. "Hey," I said, voice low. "How many of you are in there?" Silence. Then, "Just me." Barely audible. A long pause. "I think." Something twisted in my gut. I looked back at the figures again. Still watching. Still not moving. Waiting. "Open it," the voice whispered. My hand tightened into a fist. The phone buzzed violently this time. Over and over. "Do not open. Step away from container, complete the job." I stared at the screen. Then slowly, I put the phone in my pocket and reached for the seal. "Hey," I said quietly. "When I open this, you move fast, all right?" A weak response from inside. "Okay." My fingers closed around the plastic. I hesitated, just for a second, because I knew the second I broke that seal, this wasn't a job anymore. It was something else. Then I pulled. The seal snapped clean, loud in the silence. For the first time, the two figures moved, fast, coming toward me. "Yeah," I muttered. "Figured." I grabbed the door handle and yanked it open. The smell hit me first. Hot, stale, wrong. Then the darkness inside. Then movement. A man stumbled forward, pale, weak, barely able to stand. He grabbed the edge of the container, pulling himself out. I caught him before he hit the ground. "Go," I said. "Can you run?" He nodded weakly. Behind him, more shapes. Not moving, not getting up. I didn't look too long. Didn't want to know. "Go," I said again, pushing him toward the gap between stacks. "Don't stop." He stumbled off into the fog. The figures were almost on us now. No yelling, no warnings. Just fast, silent. That was worse. I turned, ran. Back to the cab. Jumped in, slammed the door, locked it. The engine was still running. I threw it into gear and hit the gas. The truck lurched forward, tires screeching slightly against the pavement. In the mirror, I saw them reach the container, then stop. Not chasing me, not even trying, just watching me leave. That didn't feel like a win. It felt worse, much worse. I didn't stop driving. Didn't check directions, didn't follow anything. Just drove until the port disappeared behind me. Then farther and farther, until the fog cleared, until the road opened up again, until everything felt normal, or as close as it was going to get. I ditched the phone, smashed it, tossed it. Never checked for payment, didn't care. One job. That's what I told myself. One and done. A week later, I was hauling a regular load. Nothing special, nothing off the books. Just freight. Normal. That's what I wanted. What I needed. I was back on the coast. Didn't even realize it at first. Same kind of road. Same fog rolling in. Then I saw it. Stacks. Containers. Cranes in the distance. My stomach dropped. Different port. Had to be. But it didn't feel different. It felt the same. The CB crackled. I frowned. I hadn't turned it on. Static filled the cab. Then, a voice. Weak. Familiar. "Hey." My hands tightened on the wheel. "You left." Cold washed through me. "They came back." I stared straight ahead. "They don't lose cargo." My throat went dry. "They just move it." The radio hissed. Then, silence. I didn't turn it off. Didn't touch it. Because deep down, I knew. That wasn't a warning. It was a message. And whatever I pulled out of that container was never meant to leave. The CB crackled one last time. A different voice. Cold, flat. "Driver." I closed my eyes for half a second. New contract available. I didn't respond. One load. My grip tightened. 20,000. The fog thickened ahead. The road narrowing. One and done. The radio went silent. And somehow, that felt worse than anything else. If you drive long enough, especially out in the middle of nowhere, you start to notice things most people never would. Not ghosts or anything like that. At least, not at first. It's more like patterns. Cars that stay behind you a little too long. Roads that don't show up on your GPS. People standing in places where no one should be standing. My name's Ryan. I've been a long-haul trucker for about 15 years. I've got a wife, 2 kids, a house back home, and a routine that keeps everything stable. I take the jobs, I run the routes, and I come home. Simple as that. That job in northern Saskatchewan was supposed to be no different. It was a heavy equipment haul. Good pay, quick turnaround. Pick up near Prince Albert, deliver to a logging operation way up north. The kind of place where the paved road slowly turns to gravel, then to dirt, and eventually to something that barely qualifies as a road at all. They told me it would be a straight run, in and out. By the time I hit the tree line, it was already dark. Not city dark, not the kind softened by streetlights or headlights in the distance. This was the kind of dark that feels thick, like it's pressing in on you. The only sound was the engine and the wind moving through the trees. I remember checking the time, 9:47 p.m., and thinking I'd be done within the hour. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was just something catching the edge of my headlights. A reflection, maybe. But then it moved. A person, walking slowly along the side of the road. I eased off the gas, watching her as I got closer. She wasn't waving or trying to flag me down. She wasn't even looking up. Just walking, unsteady, like she'd been going for a long time and didn't have much left in her. I passed her by about 50 feet before I stopped. I sat there with the engine idling, staring in the side mirror. Every rule I'd learned on the road told me to keep going. You don't stop for strangers out here, not at night, not this far from anything. But she kept walking. Same slow pace. Head down. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was because I've got a daughter. Maybe it was because no one else was coming. Or maybe it was just a gut feeling I couldn't ignore. I reached over and unlocked the passenger door. She got there about half a minute later. Didn't say anything. Didn't even look at me. She just climbed in and shut the door behind her. Up close, she looked off. Not injured exactly, but worn down in a way that didn't feel normal. Her clothes were dirty and torn, way too thin for the cold. Her hands were shaking, not just a little either. Bad enough that I could see it in the dim light of the dashboard. "You okay?" I asked. No answer. I tried again. "Where are you headed?" Still nothing. For a second, I thought about telling her to get out. Something about the whole situation didn't sit right with me. It wasn't just that she was out there. It was the way she carried herself. Like she wasn't surprised I stopped. Like she expected it. Then she spoke. "You shouldn't have stopped." Her voice was quiet, almost flat. No emotion behind it. I let out a short, nervous laugh. "Yeah, well, too late now." She turned her head and looked at me. Her eyes caught the light from the dash. And what struck me wasn't fear. It was something closer to acceptance. "They'll see you now," she said. That was the moment I seriously considered pulling over and telling her to get out. Instead, I put the truck in gear and kept driving. We went a few minutes in silence before I tried again. "Got a name?" "Emily." "All right, Emily, I'm Ryan." She didn't respond. "You got somewhere you're going?" "Home." The way she said it made me glance over. "Where's home?" She hesitated, like the word itself was unfamiliar. "Florida." I almost smiled at that. "Florida? You're a long way from Florida." "I know." That's when I realized she wasn't joking. I turned the radio down and focused on her. "How'd you end up out here?" "They brought me." "Who's they?" She didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "How long has it been?" "Since when?" 2019. I felt my grip tighten on the wheel. "It's 2025. She didn't react the way you'd expect. No shock, no panic, just a small nod. 6 years. The cab went quiet after that. I didn't know what I was dealing with anymore. This wasn't just a stranded hitchhiker. Something had happened to her. Something bad enough that she'd lost 6 years and ended up in the middle of nowhere. Then my radio crackled. I jumped a little, caught off guard. I hadn't heard anything on it in a while. Static filled the cab, followed by a voice. "Unit 12, be advised. Vehicle matching description located northbound on Forestry Road 7. I frowned. That wasn't my channel. "Confirm visual. White transport truck, Alberta plates." My stomach dropped. That was me. "Ryan," Emily said quietly, "don't stop for them." "Why?" She looked at me, and this time there was fear in her eyes. "Because they're not police." As if on cue, headlights appeared behind us. Fast. Way too fast for that kind of road. I checked the mirror. Black SUV. No markings, but it had lights, red and blue flashing across the trees. "Pull over," the voice said again, but this time it wasn't coming from my radio. It was coming from the vehicle behind us. "Ryan, don't." Every instinct I had told me to slow down, to comply. That's what you do when law enforcement lights you up. But nothing about this felt right. "Last warning, pull over." The SUV closed the gap, riding right on my tail now. I made a decision. I didn't slow down. I pressed the gas instead. The engine roared, the truck surged forward, and just like that, the situation flipped from strange to dangerous. "They're going to try and box you in," Emily said, gripping the seat. "How do you know that?" "Because they've done it before." That answer didn't sit well, but I didn't have time to question it. Up ahead, another set of headlights appeared, coming straight toward us. "That's them too," she said. I had seconds to react. The road was narrow, trees tight on both sides. No room for error. "Hold on." I swerved at the last second, barely missing the oncoming vehicle. The truck shook violently, the trailer fishtailing behind me before I managed to straighten it out. Behind me, the SUV slammed on its brakes to avoid the same collision. It bought us a few seconds, nothing more. "They won't stop," she said. "Why?" "Because I wasn't supposed to leave." That's when it clicked. This wasn't random. They weren't just looking for someone, they were looking for her. And now that she was in my truck, they were coming after me too. I glanced at the fuel gauge. Half a tank. Not great, but enough to keep moving. "Okay," I said, thinking out loud. "We stay on the road, find a main highway and—" "They'll already be there," she interrupted. A chill ran down my spine. "Then what do we do?" She looked at me, really looked at me this time, and for the first time since she got in, there was something different in her expression. Not fear, not emptiness. Something stronger. Hope. "We go south." "South? You said you have a family." "Yeah." "Then you know what it means to get someone home." I swallowed hard. Florida was thousands of miles away. Whatever was chasing us wasn't going to just give up. This wasn't a detour anymore. This was a commitment. I checked the mirror. The SUV was already closing the distance again. Then I looked back at her. 6 years missing. Somehow still alive. Sitting in my passenger seat like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. I made my choice. "All right," I said. "We're getting you home." Behind us, the lights flared brighter. And over the radio, a new voice came through. Calm, controlled, and a lot more unsettling than the first. "You just made a very bad decision, Ryan." The line went dead. And I knew right then, this was only the beginning. We didn't stop driving that night. Not for fuel, not for rest, not even to think. The SUV stayed behind us for a long time, far enough back that it didn't feel like an immediate threat, but close enough that I could still see its headlights in the mirror. It wasn't trying to overtake me anymore. It was just there, steady, patient, like it knew I couldn't keep this up forever. Emily sat quietly beside me, watching the road ahead. She didn't look panicked. If anything, she looked like someone who had already accepted how this usually ended. "They're waiting," she said after a while. "For what?" "For you to mess up." I nodded, because she was right. I was already running on adrenaline and instinct, and neither of those lasts forever. My hands were starting to ache from gripping the wheel too tightly, and my eyes kept flicking to the mirrors more than the road. The road eventually widened, and after what felt like hours, we hit a proper highway. Real pavement, open lanes, the occasional car passing in the opposite direction. It should have felt like safety, but it didn't. Not with those headlights still trailing behind us. "Stay with traffic," Emily said. "Don't stand out." I eased my speed down to match the flow, letting a few cars pass me. For a brief moment, It almost felt normal again. Just another night drive, just another delivery. Then I saw the cruiser. It was parked on the shoulder, lights off, angled slightly toward the road, like it had been waiting. As I passed, it pulled out behind me and lit up instantly, red and blue flashing across the highway. My stomach dropped. "Ryan," Emily said quietly, "don't trust it. It looks real," knowing how weak that sounded. "They all do." The siren chirped once. A quick, controlled signal. "Pull over." I hesitated, my foot hovering between the gas and the brake. Running on an open highway would draw attention fast, but stopping could be worse. "Last warning, pull over immediately." The voice came through a loudspeaker this time, clear and official. I made a decision I wasn't fully confident in. Slowly, I eased the truck onto the shoulder and brought it to a stop. For a moment, everything was still. Then the cruiser door opened, and a uniformed officer stepped out. He looked exactly how you'd expect. Clean uniform, calm posture, one hand resting near his belt as he walked up to my window. I rolled it down halfway. "Evening," he said, like this was any normal traffic stop. "Evening." License and registration. I handed them over. My hands felt steady, but I could feel my heartbeat in my chest. He glanced at the documents, then leaned slightly to look inside the cab. His eyes landed on Emily, and something in his expression shifted. It was subtle, but I saw it. Recognition. He looked back at me and smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You two headed somewhere important?" "Just making a delivery." He nodded slowly, like he already knew that wasn't true. "Step out of the vehicle, Ryan." That was it. That was the moment everything clicked into place. He knew my name. I hadn't told him. I didn't move. Neither did Emily. The officer let out a quiet sigh, like he was disappointed more than anything else. "This doesn't have to be difficult." Headlights appeared behind the cruiser. I didn't need to check to know what it was. Another SUV, black, unmarked. Emily's voice dropped to a whisper. "Ryan, now?" I didn't think. I didn't question it. I slammed the truck into gear and hit the gas. The tires screamed as the truck lurched forward. Behind me, the officer shouted something, but I didn't catch it. A second later, there were gunshots, sharp cracks that echoed across the highway. One of them hit the trailer. I felt it through the frame. I didn't slow down. Traffic ahead started to scatter, horns blaring as I pushed the truck faster than I ever should have. The cruiser and the SUV were right behind me again, closer than before. "Exit coming up," Emily said, pointing ahead. I saw it, a sharp off-ramp cutting away from the highway. I took it fast, too fast. The trailer swung hard, the whole truck threatening to tip for a split second before the tires caught and pulled it back into line. My heart was pounding so hard, it felt like it might knock the breath out of me. The road curved downward, and then I saw it. Border crossing. Cars lined up, lights everywhere. Cameras, booths, people. Real people. "Ryan," Emily said, "do you trust them?" I kept my eyes on the checkpoint. I trust attention. I pushed straight toward it, ignoring the line of cars and heading right for the front. I slammed the brakes, bringing the truck to a hard stop just before the barrier. Before anyone could react, I threw the door open and jumped out. "We need help," I shouted. Everything shifted instantly. Officers turned, hands going to their belts, eyes scanning between me and the vehicles behind. The cruiser slowed as it pulled in behind my truck. The SUV followed, but neither of them rushed forward this time. They stopped just short of the checkpoint, like there was an invisible line they couldn't cross. One of the border officers approached me cautiously. "What's going on?" I pointed back toward them. "They're not police." More officers started moving in, weapons drawn, attention locked on the cruiser and the SUV. For a moment, no one moved. Then, without warning, the SUV reversed. Fast. It swung around and sped back the way we came. The cruiser hesitated for half a second before doing the same. And just like that, they were gone. No explanation, no confrontation, just gone. The silence that followed felt unreal. The officer looked at me again. "You'd better start talking." So I did. Everything. From the moment I saw her on the road to the chase, the fake units, all of it. They took Emily inside, got her medical attention, ran her name. It didn't take long. Missing persons report. Filed in Florida, 2019. Emily Carter. Alive. 6 years later. They kept us there for hours, asking questions, making calls. Eventually, they told me I was free to go. Said I did the right thing. That she'd be reunited with her family. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt watched. A week later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. For a second, there was nothing but static. Then a voice came through. Calm, controlled, the same one I'd heard over the radio. "You got lucky." I didn't respond. "Next time, you won't be." The line went dead. I stood there for a long time after that, phone still in my hand, listening to nothing. I changed my routes after that. Stayed closer to home, took shorter runs, avoided the kind of places where roads disappear into trees and no one asks questions. But every now and then, when I'm driving late at night and the highway stretches out empty in front of me, I check my mirrors. And sometimes, there's a set of headlights that stays behind me just a little too long, and I can't help but wonder if they're still out there, watching, waiting for someone else to stop. And that's where tonight's story ends. I hope you enjoyed the video and the story we shared tonight on Whispers After Midnight. Just remember, the internet has a lot of dark corners. And the dark web is one place you definitely shouldn't mess around with, unless you're ready to find things you can't unsee. If you liked this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if there's a specific type of story you want to hear, dark web encounters, creepy jobs, strange neighbors, haunted places, leave a comment below. Your idea might become the next story featured on the channel. Thanks for listening. And until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, the best stories are always told after midnight.